Hi, boys and girls. Today's story is written by Rod Clement. It's called Grandpa's Teeth. Help! I've been robbed! He heard Grandpa shouting. It's a disaster! Come quickly! He was still shouting at Mom's Agatha. I ran upstairs. Grandpa's room was a mess. But to be honest, it was always a mess. He blamed Gump, his old dog, but Gump looked too old to make much mess. What was taken? Gasped Mom. Your VCR, your television? Not your gold-plated golfing trophy. No, said Grandpa. It's much more serious. It's my teeth. They've been toothless. Grandpa's normally kept his teeth in a glass of water by the bed. The glass was still there, but the teeth were missing. You haven't swallowed them by mistake, have you? Asked Mom. Of course not, replied Grandpa. Those teeth were special, handmade by the finest Swiss craftsmen. Agatha looked at Mom and whispered, Why is Grandpa talking so funny? You see how serious it is? Moaned Grandpa. I'll never speak the same again. Are you sure you look everywhere? Asked Mom. Under the bed, behind the cabinet, it's all in the drawer. Yes, replied Grandpa, with tears in his eyes. I looked everywhere. Mom called the police. Officer Rate looked the grave. We've done through search by the room and house, but we found nothing at all. No teeth, no clues. Everyone was at home the time of the thief. So how the thief got in and out without being seen in a mystery. Can you give me a description of the story and article? Mr. Pretwhistle. Grandpa frowned, rubbed his chin, and then looked closely at the officer. Could you smile, please? He asked. Smile? Yes, a nice big smile. Officer Rate grinned stiffly. No, shouted Grandpa angrily. I mean, no. Really? Smile. Officer Rate smiled broadly. Grandpa leaned forward, tapped the officer's teeth with his finger, grow suspiciously. They look just like those. That Officer Rate looked shocked. I had these for years. Officer Rate took us down to the station for further investigation. Using Grandpa's description, the police artist drew a picture of the missing teeth. They put up a wanted poster with all the others. We made copies, put them up all over town. Officer Rate rounded up the usual suspect and took them for questioning. All of them were asked to smile. Most of them had missing teeth as well, but just one or two, not the whole set. They even brought our unfriendly neighbor, Mrs. Carbuncle, because her own teeth didn't fit. But Grandpa didn't recognize her or the teeth. It was the police lineup. I've never seen this smile before, he explained to the Officer Rate. After several days, Officer Rate had to admit that no teeth has been found, no teeth had been caught, and no new clues had been uncovered. Grandpa suspected everyone, especially anyone who didn't smile. Soon the whole town was smiling at him, although he never smiled back. He had nothing to smile with. Mom even got a call from one of those TV shows, Unsolved Crime. They came to the house with a helicopter. We had to react the whole thing. When Grandpa was interviewed, he asked the reporter, Pearl White, if he could borrow some of her teeth. After all, he mumbled you for more than enough. Dad called Switzerland to find out how much a new set of teeth would cost. He was so shocked when he found out that he dropped the phone. The only way we could ever afford it, he joked to Mom, is to sell the house. Grandpa thought, that was a great idea. Who needs a house anyway? He moaned. He doesn't help to chew your food. No cheer him up took Grandpa to the amusement park. It was a disaster. He took one look at the front entrance and burst into tears. Everyone watched Unsolved Crime, but no one called Officer Raid, and the crime remained unsolved. Some praised teeth were left into the mailbox, but none of them fit properly. People began looking at the doors that night, imagining a thief loose on the street. No one knew who would be next. So fear gripped the town. The thief had to be caught soon. It seems that the only way to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the teeth is your mouth were your own was to smile broadly at every person you meet. Anyone who didn't smile was immediately dragged up to the police station for more questioning and chat with Officer Raid. So everyone began smiling at everyone else, all the time, everywhere, even at the funeral. Because of Grandpa's teeth, the whole town was beginning to suffer. Tourists seeing the endless sea of smiling faces were too scared to get out of their cars. After a while, they stopped coming altogether. Dad's Cafe, like the rest of the town, was losing business. The mayor called for an emergency meeting. The night, for the first time that anyone could remember, the town hall was full. Speaker after speaker stood up to complain about the loss of the customer and the constant strain on smiling all day, every day. Pastor Butter summoned the situation. While I was always considering this happy town, there are limits. No one wants to smile without a reason, and there aren't many reasons to smile in town at the moment. It's time, I believe, to put a stop to it. The crowd cheered. Mr. Pertwhistle had one of the finest set of teeth in the country. He and alone cannot afford to replace them. In fact, I alone could not afford to replace them either. But if everyone of us put $1 into the collection plate tonight, we would have enough money to buy a new set of teeth. Most people put in $1. Other puts $2. At the presentation ceremony, Grandpa opened the package and revealed 2 sets of brand new teeth. Why are the different sizes? Asked the mayor. Oh, only one of them isn't for me, replied Grandpa, popping one of the set into his mouth. The other one is for Mrs. Carbuncle. Her teeth never fit properly. She has such a pretty smile. Grandpa was very happy with his new teeth, so was Mrs. Carbuncle. They smiled at all time. In fact, they were so happy that Grandpa's old dog, Gump, smiled too. For the first time ever. This is a cute story. It's called Grandpa's Teeth. Help, I've been robbed. We heard Grandpa shouting. It's disaster. Grandpa's teeth, which were handmade by the finest Swiss craftsman. And he had been stolen. This book is, again, by Rod Clement, Grandpa's Teeth. Thank you for listening, Mrs. Stewart.